Let me tell you about the day the Galactic Council made their greatest mistake. Oh, pardon my manners. I am Ambassador Talon Cade Vex of the Sente Alliance, and I had a front-row seat to what would become the most entertaining political blunder in the history of spacefaring civilizations. The Grand Council chamber sparkled with its usual pretentiousness that day. Hovering platforms arranged in concentric circles held representatives from 200 species, all draped in their finest ceremonial robes. The human delegation stood at the center platform, looking remarkably composed for a species about to be rejected by the galaxy's most prestigious governing body. High Counselor Zara M. Taith, with her characteristic 7-foot-tall frame and shimmering scales, rose from her seat. Her voice boomed through the chamber. The Council has reached its decision regarding Earth's petition for membership. I noticed Trade Minister Benjamin Hawks of Earth maintaining perfect posture, though his knuckles whitened as he gripped the podium. Next to him, Captain Lyra Novak's face remained perfectly neutral, but her green eyes burned with an intensity that made several council members shift uncomfortably in their seats. The petition is denied, M. Taith announced, her secondary breathing gills fluttering with poorly concealed satisfaction. Earth's technological advancement rate is deemed too aggressive. Your species' propensity for rapid military expansion poses an unacceptable risk to galactic stability. The chamber erupted in murmurs of agreement, though I noticed several ambassadors looking distinctly uncomfortable. The Arcturus representative beside me whispered, "Well, that's rich coming from the species that invented planet-cracking mining operations." Minister Hawks cleared his throat, silencing the chamber. "Distinguished members of the Council, while we respect your decision, we feel obligated to point out the short-sightedness of your judgment." M. Taith's scales rippled in annoyance. "Are you questioning the wisdom of this council, Minister Hawks?" "Not at all, High Counselor," Hawks smiled, and I swear the temperature in the room dropped several degrees. "I am merely suggesting that in your eagerness to contain humanity, you may have overlooked a fundamental truth about our species." Captain Novak stepped forward, her voice carrying clearly across the chamber. "We didn't come here seeking permission to advance. We came extending an offer of partnership." Several council members laughed, but I noticed M. Taith's secondary gills had stopped fluttering. The human delegation began making their way toward the exit, but Hawks paused at the chamber doors. "A word of advice, esteemed council," he said, his tone dripping with political sweetness. "You might want to reconsider your policy on independent technological advancement. You never know when you might need friends who think outside your carefully constructed box." The doors closed behind them with a quiet hiss, leaving an unsettled silence in their wake. Remarkable how much can change in 5 years when humans set their minds to something. I should know. I've spent the last half-decade watching them with growing fascination from my diplomatic post near Earth's solar system. Ambassador KX, you might want to see this. My aide, AR, called me to the observation deck one morning. Through the station's view screen, I witnessed what appeared to be a ship performing impossible maneuvers. The vessel, sleek and angular, executed a series of rapid spatial jumps that shouldn't have been feasible without tearing itself apart. "What in the name of the 7 moons am I looking at?" I demanded. "The humans are calling it the Thunderbolt-class destroyer. It's their newest warship, equipped with something they've dubbed quantum slip technology." I felt my facial ridges flatten in disbelief. "That's impossible. The Council's best scientists determined that quantum manipulation at that scale would require at least another century of research." AR's antenna twitched nervously. "Well, sir, apparently nobody told the humans that." The next few months brought more surprises. Reports flooded in from across the sector, each more alarming than the last. The humans hadn't just been busy, they'd been revolutionary. Without the Council's restrictive technology-sharing protocols, they'd taken an entirely different approach to space travel. I remember the day I met Admiral Victoria Stone, the architect of Earth's new Space Force. She'd invited me to tour their primary shipyard, hidden within the asteroid belt of their system. As my shuttle approached, I nearly forgot to breathe. The facility stretched for kilometers, a massive complex of interconnected construction bays and research stations. Impressive, isn't it? Admiral Stone's voice carried a hint of pride as she guided me through the facility. Her silver hair was pulled back in a tight bun, and her uniform bore the newly designed insignia of the Earth Independent Force. We call it Phoenix Yard. Fitting, don't you think? The main construction bay housed something that made my heart skip a beat. A vessel unlike anything I'd ever seen, easily rivaling the size of the Council's largest capital ships. Meet the EIS Defiance, Stone announced, gesturing toward the behemoth, the first of our Titan-class carriers. She carries a complement of 500 Thunderbolt destroyers, 300 support vessels, and enough firepower to make any potential adversary think twice. And how many of these Titans are you building? I asked, trying to keep my voice steady. Stone's smile reminded me of a predator. That's classified, Ambassador, though I will say this is far from the only shipyard we've established. As we continued the tour, I noticed something peculiar about their workforce. Your engineering teams, they're not just human. Very observant, Stone nodded. When the Council rejected us, several independent worlds, and even some Council citizens, saw an opportunity. We've welcomed anyone willing to contribute their expertise. No arbitrary restrictions, no technology sharing limitations, just pure innovation. The most shocking revelation came in the research wing. Dr. Nathan Blake, their lead scientist, was practically bouncing with excitement as he showed me their latest breakthrough. We've cracked parallel dimension energy extraction, he announced, pointing to a pulsing core of swirling energy. Unlimited power. Clean and safe. The Council said it couldn't be done. We did it in 3 years. I recalled the countless Council sessions where such research had been banned as too dangerous. Yet here it was, functioning perfectly. How did you overcome the quantum destabilization issue? We stopped trying to control it, Blake explained. Instead, we learned to dance with it. Sometimes the best solution is the one nobody else would dare to try. As my visit concluded, Admiral Stone walked me back to my shuttle. You know, Ambassador, some on Earth wanted to keep all this secret, but I convinced them to let you see it. Why? I asked, genuinely curious. Because you were one of the few who voted in our favor at the Council meeting, and because someone needs to tell them what's coming. She handed me a data crystal. Our official announcement of independence from Council space goes out tomorrow. We're establishing our own alliance, open to any world that wants to join us. I held the crystal, feeling its weight. The Council won't like this. The Council, Stone replied, doesn't have to like it. They just have to live with it. As my shuttle departed Phoenix Yard, I watched several more Thunderbolt destroyers emerge from their construction bays, their quantum drives leaving trails of impossibly beautiful light in their wake. I thought back to Trade Minister Hawk's warning 5 years ago about thinking outside the box. The humans hadn't just thought outside the box. They rebuilt the entire game.